Yo, welcome in. My name is Sweet Phil. Today right here, I'm bringing you a guide for building a Blizzard Sorceress. Now, there is some variation in the character when it comes down to the last few points of the skill tree, but pretty much the main skill, obviously, it's a Blizzard Sorceress. You're attacking with Blizzard. 80% of your points are spoken for. You don't really have anywhere else you're going to put them except for exactly what I'm going to say. I'll let you know kind of the ones that you can kind of fudge around if you want to do a little bit of different things with your build. And the same goes for the gear. I have examples of all the different types of gear, other options you can have depending on what you found, what you were able to trade for, and stuff like that. But we'll start off with the stat points, and there's once again slight bit of variation that you could do depending on how perfectly min and max you want to do your character. I did not strength bug this character, nothing crazy like that, and I put a base of 156. That way I can always put on that Spirit Monarch no matter what I decide to do with the gear or anything in the future. Now for the dexterity, usually I wouldn't do this, but because I wanted to have flexibility with my gear in the future, I went to 75 on the base points. That way, if I wanted to throw on a whiz spike later, it has a high dex requirement, so then I can do that. But usually, if you don't want to do this, you could have just enough strength to wear whatever gear you need, and you can throw the rest into vitality. I put a 304 into vitality. You would just have even more life if you did it that way. Now down at the energy, it's at the base 35. I did not add any of that. That's just what you start off with. You can see my resistances are a little low, but also remember I do not have really any charms, almost no charms in my inventory. I have my inventory filled with other options of other gear, so you can supplement that with that stuff, or also you could swap around the other types of gear on the character in order to get those resistances up higher, because I have kind of more based towards the magic find. You see also not quite the faster cast rate. Where did it fall at here? Now I don't see it for some reason. Faster cast rate is 113. You need to get 105 or higher. The way mine ended up falling, I don't have the exact perfect faster cast rate on the FCR amulet that I got, so I ended up falling at 113. It's good enough. It's over the 105. Hit recovery here, I got 60. And up here, see this big, huge amount of magic find. And like I said, I have almost no charms in my inventory, just some examples of the charms that you want to use. So this could be astronomically higher with a bunch of 7% magic find small charms in there. We'll take a look at the skill tree now, and we'll jump over to the other side. We're looking at the cold, and these are the ones that are 100% spoken for. You max out Ice Bolt, you max out Ice Blast, you max out Glacial Spike, and you max out Blizzard. Blizzard, you're pretty much your main attack, and then on your secondary attack, you see I have it right down here on left click and Blizzard on right. Ice Blast. Ice Blast will have more damage than the other ones, such as Glacial Spike. Here you see it's almost more than double actually, and that's without even doing, you see Frozen Orb actually gives an 8% synergy to it. Usually what I would do, you don't necessarily have to though, I would usually dump my points into Frozen Orb here, because you see it's at 32. We'll go ahead and max this out with these extra points that I had left over, and we got up to 43, almost 44. A really big boost to that damage there. That's a 30 or 40% boost to the damage on Ice Blast. That's usually what I would do depending on your gear and what you have. You could put more points into Cold Mastery. You see I have minus 100%. That's gonna be a good amount. If you have the same gear with the same plus to skills, that's going to be perfectly fine. I just put one base point into it, and all the skill points on the gear got me up to minus 100. That's good to go. I just put 1 point into Frozen Armor. Some people might want to use Shivering Armor or put more points. I would not recommend that, but I have seen people recommend it before. That's just up to you. This is generally what I go with, but like I said, depending on your gear, maybe a few more points in a Cold Mastery would be beneficial to you. And you'll see, I'll mention later about the gear, you'll see. On lightning, 1 point into telekinesis. Gotta have yourself some telekinesis. 1 point into teleport. Obviously, gotta have teleport. And 1 point into static. It's just good to have. Once you get really good gear and get really higher, I end up not using it a ton really, but sometimes you're gonna want to go ahead and use that. So just use the 1 point into static, and when you want to use it, you won't regret putting that 1 point into it. Over on the fire skills, I got that 1 base point once again here into warmth. You gotta put that 1 into warmth, and you're all set on that one. Let's go ahead and bring up the gear now. And like I said, I have the gear up here and examples down here that I'll talk about that you can also put in there. Now, I'm a big fan of the Oculus personally with the Magic Find, all res. ton mana after kill, faster cast rate, the skills. But that pesky 25% chance to teleport, people hate that. I understand the people for hardcore why they do hate that. But the other option, and I don't have one right here with me, but that is the Hoto. And because it does have the 3 to all skills instead of just Sorceress, so that will work. It has the 10% more faster cast rate. The resistance can be higher, 30 to 40. But for my personal, if you're using your Sorceress out here killing stuff, you want more Magic Find. And this, with an instant, it has 80% to Magic Find. I feel that you can make up the faster cast rate somewhere else. You can make up the res somewhere else if you want to, but that is a massive amount of Magic Find to be missing. I guess you already have 400. You'd be down in the 300s if you didn't have that. But it's all up to you and what you prefer for the other gear. It doesn't enhance the kill speed at all, so I don't really see the benefit of going with Hoto over Oculus for a Sorceress specifically. Other options, if you want to go pure kill speed though, a Death's Fathom, because you see it has the 19 to cold skill damage. It also does make up for some of that resistance on it as well. A more budget option, like I said, I have the dexterity, the 75 to dex, so you can wear this if you want to. The Whiz Spike, or if you want to ever end up doing a 200 FCR, lightning some sort of Sorceress here, or get the 194 for the teleport breakpoint. You can go ahead and throw that on, or there's some other budget options like Suicide Branch and stuff, but there's a good examples of stuff for you to use there. Over on the Shield Spirit Monarch, unless you're doing some crazy niche like build that if you were doing, you wouldn't need to watch one of my builds anyways, because you probably know more about the game than even I do. You're always pretty much going to want to go with a Spirit, unless maybe you can't get a Spirit and you find, I don't know, a Lidless early on or something. That's pretty much the only other option over there on the Shield. Now up on the Helm, I would go with the Topaz Shaco. Pretty basic, pretty standard for almost any Sorceress build, except the Blizzard Sorceress or a type of cold, because there is one other option. The Nightwing's Veil here, that has a 15% cold skill damage. So obviously that's going to boost up the damage for your cold spells, your Blizzard, even more. There's not a ton of other options up for the Helm for the Sorceress, unless, you're really budget early on, a Peasant Crown or something like that. But really, any of the late game stuff, Shaco shouldn't be too hard to get. Death's Fathom is pretty rare, but you could get yourself your hands on that one as well. We'll take a look at the armor. I decided to go with the Skulders here. I didn't need any more faster cast rate. I didn't really care too much about resistances because I play softcore and I generally Magic Find, and this is a pretty high character. I don't know if you've seen, I didn't mention it, but it is level 95. So I went with more Magic Find here. A lot of times I would also go with an Enigma here. I know you don't need the teleport, but Enigma's got the 2 to all skills, a butt ton of strength. It's got a bunch of Magic Find on it already. It does have 8 damage reduction. It has all kinds of stuff on it besides the teleport that makes it absolutely amazing as well. Definitely things like the Skin of the Viper Magi for more a budget early on option is obviously a good go-to there. So really, I don't even necessarily need the 8 to faster cast rate. You could throw on Amara's here because I would still get the 105 without that 8 FCR. But just overall, it's a really, really good amulet. You could go with other option like the Tal Rasha's amulet here. It does have a lightning res on it and life and mana, so I could throw that up on there too. But I decided to go with this one right here just because I like that I crafted it, and that you actually get a good amulet when you're crafting, because you craft so many, you get so many that are bad that it's crazy. Over here on the gloves, I decided to throw on Mage Fist. Another option you could totally throw on there is some Trang's gloves, because they also have the 20% faster cast rate, but they do also have some cold res on it if you want to do that. Mage Fists have the 1 to fire skill, so I guess that technically would be 1 more point of warmth, but whatever. And it does have the regenerate mana 25% on it too, so it's up to you which one you really want to go with there, because this kind of needs this faster cast rate. If you swapped around other gear, let's say you had the Viper Magi, so you didn't need the faster cast rate here, you could throw on some Chance Guards to get more Magic Find in the glove slot. Now we'll take a look at these rings here. I have 2 Nagel rings for more Magic Find. I didn't need any more faster cast rate, but this is a place you can make up things like the faster cast rate. You could have rare rings. If you need any resistances, you can get that on some rare rings as well. Make up strength and stuff like that. Whatever kind of good rare rings with faster cast rate, if you needed faster cast rate, you could throw on here. You could throw on Raven Frost if you wanted, they cannot be frozen, stuff like that. But I decided to go with more Magic Find. Go with those Nagel rings. We'll take a look at these boots. I got some War Travelers. Beyond War Travelers, they got the walk, run, strength, vitality, and the Magic Find. Rare boots, you can make up resistances on that, or Alder's boots are always a kind of a go-to, a ton of fire resistance there, and they have a bunch to life. So Alder's boots is another good option. I don't have those right here with me exactly, but maybe Editor Phil will pull some of those up so you can see them. Now I got the Arachnid's Mesh here on the belt. This is really go-to for any sorceress, any caster really. 1 to all skills, 20% faster cast rate. It is probably the best belt that you're going to get. Maybe you could throw on a gold wrap to get more magic find if you didn't have anything yet. Or you can go with that caster belt. That's usually what I end up using. I think it takes an Ith and an Amethyst. The type of belt you'd have to look up, but then you can make a faster cast rate belt. That might be another option to go to there. On Switch, I got CTA and a Spirit. You know, you got to bow up, get more health, get the skill levels up. So CTA on Switch. Beyond, you could go with a lower res wand if you didn't have nothing like this. That's probably what I would have, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't ever hardly use a lower res wand, even when I'm like budget early on. So we'll go ahead and look down at the inventory. Just a couple of charms, just the kind of stuff to look for. If you get Cold Skillers are going to boost up your damage a ton. I would really like to fill this up with a bunch of Cold Skillers if I could. I would generally go with this type of gear. Having as much magic find as I do, I would much rather stack a ton of Cold Skillers in here to increase the damage and the kill speed, rather than fill this thing up with magic find charms. So it depends what you got. Finding a bunch of Cold Skillers is, well, it's just as hard as it sounds, to be honest. If you can get yourself a torch and an Annie, you do it. Torches are going to be easier to get. Annies are hard to come by in Diablo 2 Resurrected at this point. We'll see in the future. They'll probably always be very hard to come by because they're supposed to be real hard to come by. And one good thing to mention down here, you always want to throw on one faster hit recovery charm, because the breakpoint for a sorceress is 60 and you get 55 on the Spirit Shield. If you throw on one 5% hit recovery small charm, boom, you hit the 60 breakpoint. Easy peasy, you're all done. You ain't got to worry about it. This one also has some res on it, but that's what I mean with different charms. You can make up for the lower resistances that you don't have here with charms in the inventory and stuff like that. So, and obviously you want to get your hands on a Geeds as well to get that more magic find. Geeds aren't that particularly hard to get your hands on, so you should be able to get one even if it's not necessarily that great. It's better than other charms that you would stick in that slot usually. We'll go ahead and take a look at the Mercenary gear here, and I have an Infinity over here, getting that Conviction aura. You don't generally break most cold immunes, or a lot of cold immunes. There are some that it will break in certain areas, but I went with this just to increase damage more on that. You could do Insight, obviously. Insight would not be a bad option. That's what most people will go with. This is an incredibly expensive rune word. Insight is incredibly cheap. And as for the Mercenaries damage-wise, they're pretty similar enough in my opinion. So Insight, don't feel bad if all you got is an Insight in there. It's definitely a good option. I got a Fortitude over here for that enhanced damage. It also has all resistance on it. You're not going to end up with this high a defense. This is a character I transferred over from single player, so this is actually an e-bugged armor from regular Diablo 2. You can now no longer e-bug armors here in Diablo 2 Resurrected. And Daryl's Visage, that's a great helm up here because you get increased attack speed on your helmet, and a ton of life leech, and a bunch of strength. So, but the one thing you do need to watch out for is inherently, you see it has minus 3% fire res. It actually has minus 30 when you find it. What I did is I stuck a jewel in it that had a little extra strength on it, and it had, I think, that little bit of magic find and something else I can't really remember all it had offhand, but it had 27 to fire res, so that eliminated almost all of it. You see his resistances are capped, and the lightning and poison are actually a little bit higher. So that's what this gear right here will get you. As for armor, the other budget option for here is the Treachery, and it has that chance to fade on it. Fade will have a damage reduction property, and it will increase your resistances. So on your Mercenary, it increases survivability a ton. It also has 45% increased attack speed. So when you attack faster, your Mercenary will deal more damage, so it kills stuff faster, and when it deals more damage, you also leech more life back, which increases the survivability on your Mercenary. Now up here, Andario's Visage, a budget option up here is the other go-to, is the Tal Rasha's Mask, because it has a bunch of life leech, and it has a little resistances, a little bit of life. So that's what you want to do. And there is apparently a visual glitch up here. You want to generally have the Act 2 defensive mercenary to get the cold aura, or you could go with the offensive mercenary to get the might aura if you don't really, because you are a cold sorceress, maybe you don't really even care to have that extra safety of the cold aura. I like him having the cold aura so that it helps him stay alive, not necessarily as much for me, but it's all up to you what you really feel like doing. We'll go ahead and jump real quick. I'll just show you quickly what you can do with the cold sorceress. There's going to be certain areas that you can't necessarily farm, but this is one good one. We'll go ahead and battle order up, see my life increase. We will teleport over to the ancient tunnels. Ancient tunnels are a great place to farm with the Blizzard Sorceress because there are almost essentially no cold immunes down here. You see it takes them out super quick, no problem. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you target these champions and boss packs, you hope to find something, you hit the sparkly chest. I do not have any keys right here, but kaboom, kaboom, there we go. I feel like that is enough. We'll go ahead and jump to the next area. And like I said as I'm teleporting down here, this is single player. I can't wait for the 9 comments about, oh my god, dude, could I get your map pack? It's single player, bros, just throwing that out there. But here is Andariel. And you see, even without the blizzard, you see that ice blast, how much damage that does. It takes out Andariel super fast. Nothing great here, a couple rares, you know, blah, blah, blah. We'll go ahead and jump to the next area. And that's one I'm going to show you is what the Blizzard Sorceress is known for a ton. That's Mephisto. No, go ahead and hit Mephisto, and you've seen on Andariel, and I'll go with it right here too. You don't even really need to battle order up for stuff like this because this character is pretty darn powerful. They'll be a-okay. You see, I only laid down 1 blizzard to take out Andariel because that ice blast does so much damage. You cannot sleep on ice blast to go with the blizzard there. It really is a supplemental damage because you have the cooldown on blizzard. We'll go ahead and just show you real quick. You have the cooldown on Blizzard. You can't cast another one for a second. In that time, you can blast away with the ice blast, and then wait for it to cool down. Blast away. Cooldown's over. That is how you take out the bosses mainly. It doesn't work necessarily as good for the large packs. For those you're casting Blizzard, maybe you're throwing 1 or 2 of those in there, but you're not really worrying about it too much. But Blizzard by itself is just so amazing. If you can recreate the same build that I got, you're going to be walking through the game easy peasy. There's just certain areas you don't necessarily want to farm. That would be like Frigid Highlands. See how they're all immune to cold? You cannot break these, even with the Infinity, even with the points into Cold Master, you cannot take that out. Another one, I'm not going to take the time to show you, but you can't run the Countess with the Blizzard Sorceress because she's always immune to cold and fire, in hell difficulty that is. So there's a few areas you got to avoid, but you can also run places like Pindle. You can run places like Thresh Shocket. Go ahead and hit the Ares Plateau if you wanted to. This time he's immune to cold, but oh well. That's back and forth whether he's going to be immune to cold or not. It's not all the time, but it is sometimes. So if he's immune to cold, you can let your Mercenary take him out. And he's perfectly fine to run on Players 1 difficulty as well, just the way those monsters work. In particular, man, I'm getting robbed here for this video, but Pindle this time is immune to cold. Your Mercenary takes him out pretty quick anyways, so you don't really even need to worry about it. Just let your Mercenary take it out when he is immune to cold every once in a while. So hopefully this build guide checks you out. Check out one of these videos up over here. YouTube knows you're gonna like it. They know everything about you, so make sure you click on one of those and check them out. Hit the like button and subscribe though before you go. Peace out, YouTube. Hopefully I catch you next video. Hey guys, don't forget, keep slaying.